welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Del Lace with me, my co-host on the show. Tim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Matt. A little bit surprised at how quickly the test match finished this morning, but all good, all good.
It reminds me of that West Indies test where the West Indies went in 3 down on, I think it was on day 3 of a test at Centurion, and Del Steyn literally ripped through them in 30 minutes, and people were still coming in to the ground, and the game was over. So Keshav Maharaj, playing at his home ground, did the things. He did the business. It kind of was one of those games where, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today, by the way. We're going to be talking about South Africa, Bangladesh. We're going to be doing our first test review to talk about all the things that happened in the test, all the things we noticed, all the things we didn't notice. We have a little bit of a debate going on. I'm going to carry on with that because I think Tim wants Simon Harmer to play more games for South Africa. But at the end of the test match, I sat there going, if we're on pacier pitches, do you play Simon Harmer or do you play him as a second spinner? Okay, so here's the one thing, right? Vian Mulder comes out, you bring Simon Harmer in, you have a longish batting lineup, and whenever you play test match cricket around the world, even in South Africa, you're going to have the 2 spinners. Is that efficient? Is that effective for the Proteas going forward? Based on this performance, to say that maybe even at the Wanderers we can have the spin twins with our 3 paces and Anrich, Marco, and Lungi, or Lungi, Marco, KG, or whatever configuration of that is. And Tim, I want you to give me your side of the story, because my side is, look, it was fun while it lasted. It's probably going to be even fun next week on Friday when we get to see Simon and Kish do it again, because I'm a fan of spin twins, guys. I'm a fan. But the one thing that I'd want to caution against is the fact that Simon's only going to play, and he knows this, in games where it's going to suit taking 2 spinners. But there is an argument that maybe the South African all-rounder, that all-round spot, that 7th batter / all-round spot that Vian Mulder is holding now, should actually go to the best all-rounder in the country. Not necessarily a seam bowling all-rounder, but someone who can also bowl too. So if Simon Harmer and Keshav Maharaj and Kagiso Rabada could be that with the batters, like a 3-man axis, you can then make a case for Simon Harmer. But Tim, let's hear you.
First of all, I'm really, really glad that he came back and showed his class. I'm obviously somebody who's been watching him the last 4 seasons at Essex. I've been seeing the progress of him. I've been seeing at how he's changed as a bowler. When he was here last played a test match, he was a defensive bowler. He was a hold up an end, which is basically what Keshav does at the moment. He wasn't attacking, and he changed. He changed his approach. He saw a really good coach in India and in the off season, and he changed his way of bowling, and he's a much improved bowler. I think we can all see that. Use of the crease, his changes of pace, the revolutions on the ball that he gets. He's a much better bowler, and I always knew that was true, but it was always difficult to argue that when he could only do that on county pitches. It was very difficult for me to sit there at a podcast and argue and say he's good enough for Test cricket when he wasn't getting that chance. But now that he has, and I'm really, really, really glad that he's shown his class. On that debate, my feelings are simple. If the pitch allows it, I think South Africa can go in with a 3-man pace attack with the 2 spinners. I think we need to shelve this idea of this all-rounder, this Pretorius, this Mulder situation. Just solve it in this format for now. I genuinely think you can get enough runs from, as you just said, from Harmer, who made 38 in the first innings.
And not out, by the way.
Not out. We've seen Marco. Marco's got genuine ability with the bat. We've seen Rabari's got genuine ability with the bat, and Maharaj as well. I genuinely think we can get enough runs from those three if we go that. Obviously, huge caveat, they are not going to be playing at fast bouncy pitches like the Wanderers, like Perth. And in our next big tour, I don't think that they're going to be playing in the majority of the test matches together in England.
Unless they're playing in Somerset, but they're not. So that's just the only issue you would have. Tim, let's take a step back. I like what but let's take a step back. Obviously, South Africa won that first test match by 220 runs. So, okay, first game syndrome is out of our system now, hopefully. Unless if it's first game of the series, which means the first game a team arrives in the country, we're going to lose. So maybe from a planning perspective, CSA needs to be a little bit strategic. But we played on a Durban pitch that wasn't a characteristic Durban. It feels like it's deteriorated since 2019. And let's start there. We looked at the pitch on day one. It had a lot of grass. It was like brown grass on the outer edges of the pitch. There was green grass on the inner, on the wicket to wicket stump side of the pitch, up and down. It didn't look like there were a lot of cracks, but it was very spicy. It was truly spicy. Kesh did tell us in the pre-match press conference that, don't worry about the grass. This is a typical 4-day pitch, which means it's going to turn. And the Dolphins going with 3 spinners when that happens. What are your thoughts around the pitch? What are your thoughts around even the whole side screen issue? Like, dude, we spent 30 minutes trying to sort out a side screen. But what are your thoughts of Kingsmead and everything else? Because a lot of people right now are saying, guys, why are we sending them cricket matches?
I'm going to go to the CEO. The CEO was interviewed in the middle of a test match. And he said, I hope everyone's listening, i.e. Cricket South Africa. He said, test matches have to start at 9 a.m. in Durban. That's what he wants. He wants them to start at 9 a.m., not this make it up at the end. You can't make it up at the end in Durban because, well, the bad light falls so early on. So that's already a suggestion that he said that they should think about. And I certainly think they should. Look, from what I heard, the side screen was more a problem with the manufacturer of the side screen rather than KZN Union per se. That being said, it was really poor. For an advertisement of South African cricket, when we're trying to promote the game here, trying to get fans into the game, it wasn't a good selling point. It wasn't good to try and promote the game when we had, it wasn't a 5-minute delay. It wasn't a 10-minute delay. It was 30 minutes. And
those 30 minutes are crucial.
That 30 minutes, I was going to say, is crucial when you've just decided what you're going to do with the toss 30 minutes ago. That 30 minutes, what happens with the clouds? The clouds stay, do they open? They opened. And that completely would have changed. They probably would have changed their decision at the toss. There's a fair argument to say that. So that was really poor. It didn't play like a normal 4-day pitch of Durban. There wasn't that much turn. It was the turn was no, there wasn't. There wasn't. The turn was I don't know, inconsistent. I don't think so. Mahidi got a lot of turn. Mahidi got the point to turn a large part of when he was bowling. But Keshav and Simons, where they did well was their changes of pace. And because of what Mahidi had done, it sort of foxed the Bangladesh batsmen. They thought, okay, well, they're going to be bowling lots of spin. They didn't bowl, particularly this morning. A lot of those deliveries from Keshav didn't turn a lot. They were playing for the spin. So it had an effect, but not because they had a lot of spin.
What I can say about that, right, is I noticed the speeds that all three bowled, right? Mahedi bowls on average slower than all three spinners. So whenever he flights the ball a lot higher, he pushes it up, and it would rip and it would go, and it was a lot slower. Keshav was a lot quicker through the air, was the quickest through the air. So he always just went with the angle. So he was trying to beat the batsman on the inside, especially the right handers on the inside edge. If you look at the wicket that he got to Hassan Joy in the second innings, that's the one. That's the one he wants. He wants that angle. He doesn't want the ball to straighten. He wants the angle through. But maybe he kind of saw something in Hassan Joy's defense, and that's what he was trying to do today. Which is why when in the first innings when Hassan was taking a lot of wickets, Sam was taking wickets with the paces where, as you say, with the change in pace, where he was dropping the pace a little bit more. There was also this one ball, this little variation that Simon has, where he effectively pushes the ball up. He doesn't bowl it through. He's pushing it up in the end. It kind of goes up and then down, and then it turns. That ball's dangerous. That ball is unbelievably dangerous.
Just in turn. Yeah.
Oh, dude. And that's something that I haven't seen from Simon in a while. Well, since 2015, because I didn't watch Simon Newland, so you could have told me that. But it was really nice to see. But it was the slower nature of Simon's bowling that kind of made him more dangerous. But in the second innings, it was, as you say, everyone saw Mahedi, everyone's playing for turn. It's not turning, it's going straight on. A lot of the LBWs and everything else, because Bangladesh had Mahedi had a lot of those LBWs that would pitch outside off, but they would be missing leg. And so, which is why for me, because look, from a Kingsmead pitch perspective, that was the spiciest pitch they've ever prepared for an international match. It was Chennai South West. That's what it was. It was Chennai Southwest. Wasn't a dust bowl because we don't produce dust bowls, but it had a lot in for the spinners. What did you make of Dean Alger's Proteas or Dean Alger's opening bowling with the spinners? Even the majority of the first innings was bowled by the spinners, especially in the darkness that ensued at KZN, and as well as on when the game opened up at the end of day 4, where he just gave the new ball to the spinners.
The situation said that should happen. I don't think, particularly in the second innings, it wasn't that a difficult decision. You saw last night how poorly they played Harmer and Maharaj last night. It was a difficult decision. I won't say it was a masterstroke or anything like that, but so I just think it basically the conditions precipitated. This
but wouldn't you have? Because one of my thoughts was what I understand. Obviously, you bowl as a team and everything else, but it's a new cherry. Wouldn't you want to see? And that's the other thing with the first innings. Wouldn't you want to see what each of the three bowlers could do, even for a couple of overs, in terms of movement through the air? If they gave you something, some semblance of control when the ball was new, because once the ball gets soft and old, it's a lot harder to be asking Lazard, especially who's new, Duan, who's lost pace, and Vian, whose place in the team is always just a question, to bowl with an older ball. And the one other thing for me was Vian's swing. I wanted to see if Vian could get the ball to swing in those conditions, because we've seen Polly. Polly used to bowl some incredible balls in KZN, a little bit of swing, especially later on in the day once the tides were doing what they were doing and the air conditions were changing. So that was something I would have loved to see. But look, if you've got those two spinners and they were effectively battling amongst themselves, why not use them?
Yeah, no, look, I think that perhaps he could have brought on Vian earlier on in the first innings when Bangladesh were batting so well. I did think waiting over 100 overs was a little bit strange, shall we say, particularly in those conditions. But otherwise, he even said it. He said it just now at the post match. He said he wants to put the foot on the opposition and keep it there. And he said the only way to do that was to bowl the spin. they couldn't play Harmer or Maharaj. So and he alluded to the fact, mentioning to the pace bowlers, saying, listen, I want to make them suffer, and the way to make them suffer is the spin bowling. They're not enjoying it, so I'm going to stick with that.
Dean being the dangerous man he is, the scary man he is. The other thing that Lorenzo Bailey just notes, and I'll put it up there, and we'll get to Trevor's point because I think we spoke about it. The bowler saved a poor batting performance, and it would usually be brushed under the carpet with this win. I was not happy with that second innings at all. I thought we gave it away. And obviously, I tweeted at the beginning of the Bangladesh innings to say, if I'm Bangladesh sitting in that changing room, 273 with 100 overs to go, I didn't know they had the fear of God when it came to spin. But I take that and I try and attack it as much as possible. What do you think is wrong with the South African batting? And then the other thing we're going to allude to is Vian. But let's start with the South African batting, then we'll move to Vian.
Look, that second innings was just shambolic. It was a situation where I think the Jusselingham said, right, we need 300. So, and you understood that. You understood. You looked at previously what happened in the series previously. They probably did need, in theory, at least 300. But they're shot making. So it's fine to have that idea, that plan. But the execution was really, really suspect. And it showed just how much we rely on somebody like Russie. You know, Russie is not a great test cricketer, and he probably never will be. But he is so important to the side. When they're in trouble, he just shuts up shop and says, I'm not getting out. And there is nobody that did that in that innings.
Ryan did. Ryan did. He tried. He was without 38.
I was just going to say, the only shining light is Ryan is going, pick me. I can be your keeper as well if you want. I'm here. You don't have to play two keepers. I think he asked me before the series, who would you pick as a keeper? And I said Ryan just. I do think Ryan, although the stumping, I must give credit to the stumping in that was it Joy, I think? Shanto. Magnificent piece of stumping from Kyle. But he's got a problem with the bat at the moment. You know, there's a question mark there. You're
talking about a guy who scored 100 in New Zealand. That's what you're saying. You're effectively saying maybe we should relook at our wicketkeeper because
not quite. I'm just saying that Ryan is saying if things go pear-shaped, I'm here because he did play well in that second innings.
Look, I look at this side, and I was talking about it on Cricket Fanatics yesterday. I think we need to look at this as like squad mentality, right? There are guys who are off form, there are guys who are on form. You always need to be, as a coach and as a selection panel, be on the pulse of who's on form and who's off form, right? And my thing is this: if you're going to play a seventh batter when the IPL players are back, Ryan should be your guy. Right? He should be your guy. He's earned it and he's proved it. Him and KP are the two guys who've shown what value it takes in sitting in domestic cricket and churning out runs. Ryan batted very responsibly, even though the ball was turning yesterday, and everybody was losing their heads. He kept his and he kept on playing really well. He defended really well on off stump. The only thing I'd be worried about. I'll be worried about Kyle is that off stump. I'm so worried about that off stump and the ball that comes into. Same issue I had with Aiden, same thing I still have it with Aiden. It's that ball that comes in onto the pads where you want to play either straight or away to like extra cover. It works in ODI cricket because the white ball doesn't seam in as much and the line is a little bit wider for ODI bowling and it's a lot short. It's a little bit shorter, whereas these guys are pushing it full to you. So So that's the only thing. But I wouldn't want to drop Kyle because he scored 100 and he's got hand-eye coordination. It works for him at times, and
Yeah.
it worked a bit in that first innings as well. He looked okay; it was comfortable until he got the one
Yeah.
that came in. But obviously Ryan was the debutant, and I was really impressed by him. I'm happy with Sarl and Dean as a partnership. So it's one of the reasons why, even in the UK, I'm opening with Sarl and Dean. I'm not take Aiden's going to be sitting on the bench, traveling with the team, squad mentality in case there's an injury or something else. He's there. I would take SAA with so those guys can play cricket because I think COVID's kind of ending in the UK. So, it's being a little bit easier. So maybe just have a second set of 11 guys who are playing the other counties playing through and stuff like that. Vian Mulder. Obviously, Timber's 93. Timber again, dude. Come on. Like, Oak. Come on, dude. Like, what must we do? Like, but the one thing I liked about that innings is that I think people kind of saw it in context of everything else and what
And
he's done throughout his period as a pro is that his runs are always hard runs. They're always tough runs. And South Africa, like the outside of Dean, who had kind of like a nice little batting spell at the start of the match, and maybe Sarl. I think Timber, like that 93 was really important. It was really nice, and it kind of helped us pull the game away a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't see the conversion rate, the non-conversion rate, as being a problem. I know some people are, and I thought it very strange that he brought it up when he was talking about it. I obviously maybe it's affected it, but for me, I'm in the best form of my life. I'm playing good cricket, and I'm scoring runs. That's all. That's all that
Okay,
needs to be said.
let's talk about Vian. But Lorenzo says he says he's sure Vian might play. Will definitely play, but for him, he's done out there. Above him and St. George's will lack seam department, but I'm pretty sure that they can produce. Yeah, I agree with this. The only problem about this is where am I going to get my fifth seam bowler if things go hard? Unless if this week Dean goes to Timber and says, "Dog, I need you to bowl. I need you to bowl. I need you to bowl those little dibbly dobblers that you bowl, those little dangerous grenades." But I think that's the only way I do it. I'd love to see Kai get a cap. I think he's had a great season, and I think it would round off a very tough period for him having to relive all of that. And I'm not saying he deserves to play because of SJN. I'm just saying that after SJN, you could feel like a weight was lifted because he got to the Kaya that got him into the Proteas side in the first place type of form. And so this is a lovely reward for a guy at the end of a season that's been pretty tough on him emotionally and mentally to get a cap. But Vian, what are we going to do with this guy? You saw when he got out. I think it was on day 1 or 2. I don't know what day it was. I think it was day 1. And he sat in the dugout for an hour. And he didn't take off his pads. He didn't go upstairs. He just sat there for an hour, berating himself, being angry at himself. I don't know what was said to him before the game, what expectations are there during the game. But surely when you get a first bowler, it's better than you saying you made an error, because the first ball is like, dude, the bowler can bowl a good ball, take it on the chin and you walk. But what did you make of that scene? And then what did you make of Vian throughout the test match? Because I saw a man who's out of confidence, a man who doesn't trust himself, a man who's very hesitant. And all I can say is Vian needs to go back to domestic cricket, get runs for a full season, because he can. He's dominant. He can bat. And he must dominate. And then maybe when he comes back the next time, he'll be a little bit older. He'll be a little bit wiser. And maybe he can actually handle, because it feels as though the pressures and the intensity of Test cricket is, from a batting perspective, are getting to him.
Yeah, look, his headspace is not in a good place. I think that's fairly clear to see. Even when you in the second innings when he was dropped, I could see his face going, you know what? I wish you'd caught that. I really wish you'd caught that. I really wish you'd caught that. I could just get off this field, just go home, pack my
Mm,
bags. Look, we all know his talent.
yeah.
Everybody knows talent. There's a reason why he was so highly thought of by Otis Gibson, who'd never seen him play before, who'd never heard of him, turned up when he was spoke to his coach who said, "Who's that chap?" There's a reason. And there's a reason why coaches after him and selectors after him have continually picked him. There is a reason, because he is talented. But unfortunately, talent only goes so far. You have to, I think it's 5 or 6 seasons, he's averaged 40 once with the bat. Now,
Mm,
not good enough, because he is effectively picked as a batting all-rounder. His
mm.
bowling numbers for the Proteas are good, but that is not why he is picked.
And his
He is
bowling's a
picked,
bonus.
yeah, his bowling is as you said, a bonus. He's picked to score runs, to dominate. He is picked to do what Cameron Green is doing for Australia
Mm,
right now. Cameron Green has been averaging 50 at first class level. They waited for him to do that before they picked him. South Africa didn't. He's been messed around. It's been fair to say, he's been messed around, picked in squads, um, travelled around the world with the Proteas, played in and out.
played
He has
different
been messed
formats
around.
too that he didn't even deserve playing.
Yeah, different formats. He's been messed around. So he's not wholly to blame here. But he has to go back to first class cricket, make a lot of runs, and he can come back. He can be South Africa's all rounder. Not South Africa's next Jacques Callis or anything like that. South
Mm.
Africa's next all rounder. But he has
Here's
to
a,
go back, go score runs.
here's a comment from Jacobite. He or she says, so tell him he is picked to bowl, and if he gets some runs, it would be nice. My thing about that is that I don't think he's the number four bowler. So, for instance, if I had to pick between, obviously we know South Africa's four pace, four bowler attack is Kesh, Lungi, Anrich, Kagiso. The question's around whether Marco comes into the setup or not. And so, if you're going to say we're going to pick him to bowl, Marco's the question. Marco's a better batter than Vian, and Marco's a better bowler than Vian. Well, if you've been picked to bowl, Marco's a better bowler than Vian. The batting, the runs that Marco has given us have been very nice. We've enjoyed them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Marco's given us more than what Vian's given us. And so then my question then is to you, Tim, how about Marco at 7? So you
It's
do
an
the
option.
whole idea of Marco, Kagiso, and Keshav giving you runs in a in a vacuum.
Yeah,
Like to say,
it's
the three of you guys need to give me 60 or 70
yeah,
together.
yeah.
Mm.
If they each make 20, 25,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
that's
mhm.
certainly an option. Certainly an option.
So here's obviously Jacobite was meaning this series. So what do you do with him in that second test? Because they also say in the future they don't see Mulder at all. I think everyone's on this thing, and it's really tough. But here's the thing: so this series, what do you say to him?
You
Like
say to
for
him,
Friday?
yeah, say, Fian, it's not happening for you. It's not happening for you. And season's now over. Go to Kent. He's going to Kent. He's going to play cricket. He's not going home to brood and sit at
Mm,
home and complain and worry about his future. He's going into county cricket. And they're going to be expecting him to perform. They haven't signed him because he's an AB de Villiers, and if he comes off
mm,
once every four, it's going to be fantastic. They're going to expect him to come off. They're paying him good
mm,
money. I expect him to have a very good season. that I'm not going to go into specifics of the Kent side, but the Kent side is a very nice side. It's a very nice side for him to be playing with an experienced side. Go in, score runs. We're not so interested about your bowling, although I think English conditions will suit you. Go in, score runs, and there is a chance you'll be in the Protea squad for England. But just go in there and score runs. A chance.
You're promising him a lot, eh? You're promising him a lot.
Got to go in there and score runs. It's not going to be easy, but he has the talent, and I think he's going to have a good season there. I genuinely think he's going to have a good season. No, Leicestershire. Sorry, Leicestershire. Correction, Leicestershire.
George Kent is George Linder, yeah.
George Linder's Kent, sorry.
So let's look at the other debutant, Lizard Williams. How do you think he bowled? We didn't see enough?
Obviously, we want to see more. We definitely want to see more. We want to see more overs. The poor guy. You want to see more overs in a test match from somebody like Lizard. He wants to bowl more. He wants to be given more of a chance. But I saw an upgrade.
Yes.
You and I've said this to you privately. This is an upgrade on Clinton Stearman. Yes, Clinton Stearman had one test match, but this guy is quicker through the air. He troubles the batsman more. He's just got that extra bit of something that you need at test level.
He just wants it more. But that's always been Lizard. And I think what we've seen from his move to the Titans is Lizard who's a lot more I want it, I'm going to go get it. And you got that even on that second day when obviously Harman and Kesh had a fun time on day one. Day two, they weren't having as much of a good time. But the one guy, he even bowled better than Duan. That kind of was like, oh, hold up. This is now getting out of hand. Because Duan looked like he was missing, first of all. And that's why I'm so angry, because that's why I'm like so weird about dropping Vian, because Duan's not doing anything for me. You know. And Duan in this bowling attack needs to be the enforcer. Lizard can't be your enforcer. Lizard needs to be the guy who bowls it up, who tries and gives you line and length, gives you accuracy, and you on the other end go guns blazing. But it seems like the roles were reversed. Lizard was the enforcer, which is something that Clinton hasn't figured it out yet. In terms of being an enforcer, being that type of a bowler, that line and length bowler, because Vern when we needed wickets from Vern on pitches that suited swing and that suited that type of bowling, it came through. And Durban, you kind of saw that, which is why I was angry that they didn't bowl Vian, because Vian would have worked well on that wicket. And you saw he took some wickets when people weren't taking wickets. But I would have loved to see Vian and Lizard bowl in tandem together, end to end in partnership, especially when the spinners weren't getting much in the morning. And to a certain extent, I loved Lizard. I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe we need to go back and look at our fast bowling charts and try to figure out where Lizard sits. But I do think Lizard is there and thereabouts. And from a going to England perspective, I think he's done himself a lot of good, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it there ahead of Duan. Because if the selectors are watching what we're watching, what the selectors have effectively told us is that Luto's not it, Clinton's not it. Duan is bowling himself out of the tour, but Lizard, for as small a period we've seen, is bowling himself on that play. And he'd enjoy bowling on those wickets in England. And so I'm really happy for him. I think he also has that extra, sometimes when you're young, like Clinton, and you don't understand, and you've been now, made the setup, it feels as though the opportunity is going to come again. Whereas Lizard played like a man who knew that this may never happen again. So if it's going to happen, I'm going to leave them with something. And he left us with something.
Yeah, I will just come back slightly. There's no doubt Lizard outbowled Duan in this test match. There's no doubt, and he had a bit of an extra spunk in this test match. What I would say is, and I hear it a lot, but we need to move away from this Duan enforcer role. Duan enforcer role is finished. It's finished when he left
Then
South
why is he?
Africa.
Then why is he there?
He's not in there as the enforcer. He's in there to bowl the good length that he was bowling in county cricket, to bowl that fuller length and get the ball to swing and get wickets. Go for 4 and over, that's fine. If you go for runs, but you get wickets. One thing that he was not getting was wickets. So he's going to continue to be bowling that pitched up length in the South African setup. We saw it. We saw it in New Zealand. We saw it here. He's continuing with that role. That role is his role now. He's told to pitch it up and entice the batsman to drive, get caught, to slip, gully, point, that sort of thing. That is his role. His enforcer days are finished. His days of bowling 140.
Feels like a waste.
His days of bowling 145 are over. Finished. Klar. Finished.
But does that not make him then the same as every other bowler? There's no X factor with Duan, because when Duan played for the Proteas early on, we didn't care about that full ball. All we wanted for him was to crank up the pace and make the batsman uncomfortable. Now you're telling me that he's now gone back to domestic pace, because 130 at an international level, you have to be special. You have to like move the ball around. So for me, is there a case for him to be in the Proteas now going forward, knowing what we have?
Well, he wouldn't be if the IPL guys were back. Let's just say that. So he wouldn't be. That's clear. So he is.
He is like Lazard. I'm not going to play again when they come back.
He's fighting with Lazard, as you say. He's fighting with Lazard. The one thing that is in his favour, although his numbers are not great in England, is he's played there. He's played there. He knows the conditions. That is in his favour. He'll be going back shortly, and I would like to think he would want to put his hand up again, say, listen, I've got these wickets. But again, there is a question mark there. If he's not going to be the enforcer role, I knew that. See, I knew he wasn't going to be that because I'd seen what he did at Yorkshire. You can't do that and go, okay, well, now I'm just going back to. That was never going to happen. Even when he did the Lions, getting those wickets with a fuller length, bowled LBWs, it wasn't chin music. He wasn't getting out guys at short leg and leg slips and fine leg on the boundary. Guys hooking. It wasn't like that.
Here's a question, and then we'll talk a little bit about Bangladesh. Who will be the backup batsman other than Markram and Rickleton for the England tour? I know Zubair's out. Zubair is out. Who comes in? Is it Kai Zondo? Or is it Tony DeZorzi? Do you know what's funny about this, right? Do you know what's very funny about this?
What?
David Bedingham, had he been a patient man, had he been not a whiny little child, or whatever you want to call him, had he been a patient man, this would have been it.
I know. I know.
This would have been him.
I know. Yeah. They would have said, listen. I know. There is nobody. There is nobody that says, I'm here. You mentioned Kaya, okay, good season. I don't see Tony in the red ball. White ball, yes, I could see him. Red ball, I don't see it. I don't think he has a technique for it. But that's just me. There is nobody. Fantondo can't score a single run outside Plum. And it's ridiculous. You can't score anything. You're right. The obvious one is the guy that said, you know what, I'd rather qualify for England.
Oh, man. Okay, cool. Another question from Lorenzo before we talk about Bangladesh. Just give him your answer. Mine is yes, if it's been friendly. But like,
Can we? Yeah. If it's been, can you say, can we play Kish and Muhammad together? Is that what he's saying?
yes, more
Yeah.
regularly.
Depends on the pitch. If the pitch says yes, 100%. 3 and 2, 3 paces, two spinners.
Centurion.
If it's
Centurion, because Simon
Turin,
Palmer takes with Centurion.
if it's a Turin and the Wanderers, no, no, unless the Turin changes,
Well, if you watch the Momentum One Day Cup game on Friday, Simon Harmer would play for the Proteas starting, because I think in that game both teams, Lions and Titans, opened with spinners, and spinners took the bulk of the wickets. Rezo Hendricks got Dennis De Bruin out, as well as who's the other guy at the Titans who was scoring all these. It was insane. Bjorn Fortuyn took 5 wickets in that match. Klaassen bowled himself, got a wicket. It was the day fast bowling died on Friday. Like, it was truly like you sat there going, oh snap, it's April Fool's, but guys, this can't be what we're seeing now. But yeah, so I think Kesh goes on tour. He's like, it's an Ashwin Jadeja thing. Away from home, Jadeja will play. If Jadeja's injured, Ashwin will play. But obviously with South Africa, away from home, you'll take both if it's spin friendly. If it's not, you pick Keshav.
Can we ask Pakistan cricket if they're like in the series? Three tests.
No. Can we go to India now? After IPL, can we? No, forget about that. Let's go to India. Let's go. Let's go to India.
I love that.
Okay, cool. That would be so nice. Okay, Bangladesh. Before we talk about who impressed you, who disappointed you, but we've spoken a lot about that. Bangladesh, I was really impressed. Truly impressed. Yes, they got bowled out for 60 in that fourth innings, but effectively batting on fourth innings in Durban, you're going to get what you're going to get. And against those two guys, like, there's nothing else you can do. I think they made an error at the toss. They should have batted first. But you can't fight them because of the bloody side screen. I think they lost a lot of momentum and impetus with the conditions that they thought they would get, because I thought their quicks went up to the mark in the first innings. They got better in the second innings. I love Ebadot. I think he's a great bowler. He's very accurate. And he doesn't give you much, and they've got these bowlers who can get the ball to swing, so it's really nice, because then you can take the pitch out of the equation at times, and I'm just surprised they don't take more wickets in Bangladesh, but we kind of know why. Mahedi is just world class, and I think the only thing that swung this game in South Africa's favor was that Shakib wasn't playing. Had Shakib been playing, game over. We would have been done. Would have been done for.
Yeah, it's quite possible. It's quite possible. Look, I agree with everything, and I get what the captain said after the match, but I think not playing 2 spinners, regardless of whether Shakib was there or not, was a massive error. A massive error, regardless of whether your pace bowlers won you a test match in New Zealand. This isn't New Zealand. This isn't New Zealand pitches. This isn't the Wanderers. This isn't Centurion. This isn't Perth. I thought that was a massive mistake.
I think they were let down by Alan Donald. I think they were let down because Alan's coached in Durban for the past couple of years, or brought the Dolphins there, so he should know what the characteristic of this pitch is.
Having said that, I thought they batted extremely well. In that first innings. They really showed that this is not. It's a shame, really, because they really showed this is not the normal Bangladesh that we are used to, and then they showed exactly the opposite of the second innings, which is a real shame. But they really showed that, and their bowling. I thought their 3 pace bowlers, aside from that first session, 95 for no wicket. I mean, they were just all over the place. All over the place. If none of that happened, and if they hadn't let South Africa's 8, 9, 10, and 11 make 69, who knows? Who knows?
And the only thing for me that I can bemoan Bangladesh for in that second innings is the inexperience. I don't think they've ever found themselves in a situation where it's a chaseable total and it's a winnable. It's a you're in that realm of we can actually win this if we navigate this well. And I don't think they've ever been able to be in that space where they've navigated that outside of the fact that either they were at home. And so there were a lot of factors that were playing in their mind, being away from home, being a very young batting lineup. Shanto, Joy, very new. Apart from obviously the experienced players, which I was disappointed more in the experienced players than I was in the youngsters. But looking at how this team's going to learn how to get these runs, this is important. That failure in the fourth innings is very important because I don't think they're going to go about the same thing the next time. Yes, they were being bogged down, but you need to find a way to score runs. You need to find a way to play riskless cricket in order for you to get there because it's all in your favor. 110 overs left in the match, 273 runs. It's all looking you in the favor. Yes, pitch will deteriorate. Yes, the bowling is or the bowling's of a very good standard, but you should be able to get over the line in those situations. I don't think they've faced many of those. So that was kind of something that Marcel Dominguez is going to have to try and get them to be because they're a much better side than 60 all out. They're a much better side.
Yeah.
And so I was just sitting there going, they needed a fifth bowler. Shakib Al Hassan is that fifth bowler. They need to get him back. Like he needs to be landing in South Africa today, in order for that to happen. Also, yes, I could say that second spinner, but I don't think it went down to that. I think it just went down to the fact that they never had another fifth bowler who could hold the weight. Could have been a seam bowler, could have been whatever, but it just looked unbalanced. But they did well to get South Africa out for that 204 and give themselves a chance because that for me was a win for them. There were a lot of wins for them throughout. They won many sessions as they went through, especially that day 4, session 2. They restricted South Africa to 52 runs. In a session where South Africa is supposed to pull away and take Bangladesh out the game, they did not. They actually South Africa Bangladesh got 4 wickets. Mahedi needs to be kept. Like Mahedi needs to be like unbelievably wrapped in cotton wool because he's so important to this team. I'm just disappointed in some of the senior players and some of the stroke selection, but there's nothing that you can do, especially when you've seen, because that's the other thing about batting last. You've seen the demons in the pitch. So when you go in there, you assume the demons are going to always be there. And then you get beaten by balls that actually don't turn or don't do much. So that was something, a little bit of inexperience, but I was happy with them. I think Russell Domingo will be very happy with the effort that they've put in. I think even more than what Mark Barcher would have been happy with the batting, because I think Bangladesh really did put up a fight, and that's what we want in this Test series. We want to put up a fight.
Yeah.
Looking to Friday. Any changes to the Proteas side?
Kyle Zondo for Bonta.
So you're going with 4 bowlers. Who's your 5th bowler?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think because we are 1-0 up, I think that would be my option. If Fionn had bowled a whole lot in that first innings, well, he could have bowled 13 or 14 overs if he'd been brought out earlier. That might have said, you know what, let's give him this one more. No, I still have huge problems with his batting, but let's give him this one more. But for me, it's Kaya Zondo for Bonta. No other changes.
Okay. I'm leaning towards that change, but the other thing for me is that I don't know, because I feel like this match was an anomaly in terms of the good work that Simon Harman, Keshav Maharaj did. I think we might see a little bit of a regression, and in that we might be more reliant on our quicks. And Duan and Lazard together as the only paces might be a little bit too tough on them. So I'm not sure. I really am. I want to see Kayak play. I do. But
Mm.
it just messes up with the balance of the side. We saw how Bangladesh struggled without a fifth bowler. Now you're going to be relying on Timber and Dean to be giving you something. And Dean's like, yeah, so unless if Dean's going to bowl himself more, then maybe take the risk and hope everyone's going to come through. Fine, but and you're 1-0 up, so maybe do that. And yeah, but I'm just worried that we might just get a slightly pacier pitch in Tebeja and you find yourself in trouble. One other thing, Tim, the umpiring. Bangladesh have decided to put a formal complaint to the ICC. What do you make of that? Because there were a lot of decisions throughout the test match that were overturned. It wasn't a great time for Maria Erasmus and Adrian Holtstock. But yeah, what do you make of it?
I think it was a bad test match, a poor test match for both. They are human. Humans make mistakes, and I think they both admitted. Even there were a couple when it went to the big screen, you could see Maria Erasmus going, you know what? I can't believe I messed that up. I cannot believe. And humans make mistakes. The rubber degree definitely fell in favor of South Africa. There's no doubt about that. But any suggestion that it was deliberate or deliberate bias is not right. It's not right. It's not fair. But it does magnify the importance of going back to neutral umpires to
Yes.
quell this sort of theory out the water. So you know what? It's just a bad day, a bad test match. Decisions went against you. It's unfortunate because I definitely went in favor of South Africa and against Bangladesh in the majority. But we know Maria Erasmus, in particular, is a
Very
quality
good.
umpire. He just had a bad test match. I don't think the decisions themselves even would have made a difference on the result, because the majority you saw wickets happen shortly after those were overturned. But I think it was 8 overturns last time I checked. So it wasn't good. There's no way of sugarcoating it. The sooner we go back to neutral umpires, the better.
We've got one last comment from Jacobite for you, Tim. What about Dupavilon instead of Mulder? Harmer Keshav can be the all-rounder, in inverted commas. I don't know how I feel about Super Duper, but I'd go with Luto before I do anything else. If I'm going to take Mulder out for a bowler, I'm going Luto Sapamla. I know Dupavilon's he hasn't had the greatest of seasons though. That's my only worry, and he's
That's
had
my worry.
injuries.
That is my worry. That's my worry. Hasn't had a great season.
So I'd go with Luto actually. I think Luto bowled well in New Zealand.
So yeah, if
In that
you're
one
gonna
game.
do that, then Lutho, and you're gonna say to Harmer and Marlowe, listen, boys, as good as you will with
You
the
gotta
ball, you're gonna have to produce with the bat as well.
I know Simon Harmer said he bowling puts food on the table. I think in Gqeberha it might be batting too. Because look, if Simon scores 100, we're keeping him in the side. We'll play two spinners around the world, even at the one. Okay, Tim, thank you very much. Remember, I remember that the next test match will be live on 1WSR.com. We'll also be with the Prime Media platform on EWN 702 on the apps. So if you go look on the apps, you'll find them. You'll find us on the EWN Facebook page as well as the YouTube page for that next test match. It starts on Friday at 10 a.m. It's going to be an interesting one because I think it's going to be an interesting one because I think that Rebecca pitch is different, guys. It's not like the one we saw against New Zealand, against Australia. And even then, there was a lot of reverse swing. So you might want to, consider Glenton Steedman if you want to get Vian Mulder out. But for me, and I think Tim, I think it's just going to be spin twins all the way through up until the end of the series. I think if Simon Harmer and Keshav can get us more World Test Championship points, plus for me, you can play Simon Harmer wherever you want. But so with regards to Simon Harmer, Tim, I'm a fan, but I'm not there yet.
No.
I'm not there yet. I love him,
Yeah,
but I'm not there yet. But
Yeah.
he's done really well. Keshav did really well, deserved that man of the match. He opened it up. And Werner says it starts on Thursday. I don't know. I thought it started on Friday. But anyway, because the last test match
I
started on
think
Thursday.
it's Friday as well.
Yeah.
I think
But
it's Friday.
maybe Werner still got the jet lag from from doing all the work in New Zealand, which we are appreciative of. Because man, we woke up very early in the morning. But yeah, guys, thank you very much. We'll be back with another podcast later this week. Just watch out. We're going back to our In Conversation series. Woohoo! So yeah, it's going to be quite exciting. But yeah, if you can and you're in around the Johannesburg Gauteng area, remember the Momentum One Day Cup final between the Lions and the Titans at Centurion. I'm going to be going there because I'm a Lions fan. I need to shut them up for once and for all. And also, I want to see Reza Hendricks bowl some spin as well. But
But
that's to each his own.
that's also why we're having the podcast later after that final, because the Titans are going to win. So I need to rub some salt into Mpho's wounds.
That's now.
Huh?
Yeah, Jacobite says the test is Thursday, so is 7 April, so Thursday. So yeah, Thursday.
Okay, Thursday. Okay, Thursday.
So we're gonna have to just adjust our things, maybe even load the podcast at the end of day one. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Tim, thank you very much again, and back later in the week. And all I can say is goodbye, good night, and lesale kakahiso.